about this storm and try to re-update you here in just a few minutes. Take it away, Eric.
Nick, thanks. We have just learned the sentence for former Charlotte Mayor Patrick Cannon, sentenced for federal corruption. Let's get out live to Jenna Caiazzo. She is at the courthouse with the sentencing. Jenna?
Hi, Eric. We literally just stepped outside of the courtroom. It was quite a lengthy process. We're learning Patrick Cannon is actually going to serve 44 months in federal prison. And then after that, the day he gets out, he will be under probation for 2 years. He'll have within 72 hours to report to a probation officer. That's when his 2-year probation will begin. He's also been told by the judge that he will be responsible to pay for all of his dependents while he is in jail. We're also learning that he will be getting some mental health screenings during the course of that 44 months while he's in prison. Of course, we have not heard of a fine yet. We have another crew inside the courtroom finding out if there is a financial fine associated with this. The biggest point from today is both sides obviously pleading their case. The first coming from his attorneys, James Ferguson, saying what a model citizen he was before he ran into this trouble, speaking about his family, his children, and what he'll be leaving behind if he goes to prison. Of course, Ferguson was proposing that Cannon only serve a few months in prison. That, of course, was denied by the judge, and he is now facing a much larger sentence. Cannon actually had a chance to speak himself, speaking about some words that he said to his son this morning. He told him about some words to live by. He said respect, responsibility, manners, and fun. Cannon told us that he said that to his son this morning, although those were all characteristics that he breached during his public corruption trial. We're also learning from Cannon that his children are really what have made this so hard for him. He broke down in tears during the recess when we took a break. He was in the courtroom crying as was his wife. Of course, this is a very hard time, and the judge even admitted that sentencings like these are very hard. Of course, Judge Frank Whitney comparing this to other situations and other cases in the past involving public officials here in Charlotte and across our state, making the sentencing pretty comparable to those situations. Of course, we're gathering more information here at the courthouse. We will bring you this coverage on air and online. I want to send it back to you, Eric.
Jenna, do we know if he's taken into custody at this time, or is he to report at a later date? Do we know that?
You know, Eric, I'm actually getting that information from an exclusive source inside the courthouse telling me that he will surrender himself to jail after, of course, court is let out. He will go back with the U.S. Marshals for some processing. At that point, he will meet with his attorneys and they will discuss a date of when to surrender himself to federal prison for that 44-month sentence.
Jenna Caiazzo live outside the federal courthouse here. So let's have a look at where we got. Here's a look at the timeline, joined by lawyer Corey Rosensteel here on this Tuesday. As we talk about the timeline, have a look here. This is it. August 2010, FBI gets a tip regarding public corruption from an undercover officer working on another case. This is November 18th, 2010. According to documents, undercover FBI agent posting as a business executive introduced to Cannon. January 2011, Cannon becomes the primary focus of that investigation. December 12th, 2012, according to an affidavit, undercover agent agrees to pay Cannon more than $12,000 for investment in exchange for Cannon's assistance, for zoning and permitting for an agent's proposed nightclub. January 2013, feds say Cannon accepts a cash payment of $2 grand from the owner of an adult nightclub. January 17, 2013, Cannon and an undercover agent meet in an apartment rented by investigators. The agent gives Cannon $12,500 in cash. July 2013, Cannon goes to Vegas with a second undercover agent who poses as a real estate developer. According to an affidavit, authorities say that the agent pays Cannon $6,000. Weeks later, second undercover agent, posing as a foreign investor, gave Cannon $10,000 in cash. All this money. September 13, 2013, meets with an undercover agent discussing development along the Katz Gold and Blue line. Then in February 21st of 2014, a meeting, Cannon allegedly solicit a 1% payment on a $125 million deal. So an agent gives Cannon $2,000 in cash, according to the affidavit. And then on March 26th, investigation revealed Cannon learns about the undercover agents, then is arrested. So in office for less than 4 months. So let's bring in Corey Rosensteel, our Fox 46 legal analyst. The guidelines here were 46 to 57 months, if I'm not mistaken. So we're under that. We're at 44 months, which is 3 years and 8 months. Are you surprised by the under?
I would have guessed that he would be sentenced within the guidelines, certainly. Of course, you never know. Now, one of the interesting things as well is that the government recommended a sentence below that guideline sentence as well. And so when the judge is looking at this, the government actually recommended 37 months.
So he ends up, again, with under the recommended sentence. What does that say to you? Obviously, cooperation's a big part of it.
Well, I think that's the biggest thing that you'd have to point to. Obviously, the judge may have seen some of the family witnesses and the community witnesses as swaying him, but I think probably what we're looking at here is a cooperation level that the government saw fit to come in and ask for a sentence underneath the guidelines, and the judge respected that, and that's probably the driving force that got that reduced sentence.
So you heard Jenna talk about the fact that he's to have a report date later. You know, that's unconfirmed, still working on that. Does that surprise you, given the fact that he's been out for 6 months? He's had time to get his house in order.
That's something that's going to be up to the judge in every case. The situation in this one is that he's got somebody who immediately cooperated. He's got the AUSA, the assistant U.S. attorney, who is making the downward departure argument. I think he probably sees Mayor Cannon as a low flight risk, and he does have family ties and everything. I think that's probably what was considered.
Okay, so again, the sentence here, 44 months. That is 3 years and 8 months. Corey Rosensteel, appreciate the time today.
Absolutely.
As we get the latest. And let's get back over to Nick, because again, we do have a tornado warning. Very inclement weather out there, and this could continue for the next several hours into the evening. Is that right?